Hey, everybody out there, it's Savalas Williams. I got a phone interview with another fantastic individual that I had the honor to serve with. I'm going to introduce him. We spent 4 years together, 3.5 or 4 years together um, in the Navy. Yeah, got him on the line, and he's going to let you guys know about MEPS. It's a process that you have to go through once after you sign up for the Navy. He's actually working at the MEP Center, so he'll answer, or he's going to describe and let you guys know some things of what's going on when people talk about MEP. So without further ado, Petty Officer Gibby.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Savalas Williams. Good to be with you.
Yeah.
And good to talk to you again after a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, currently I'm working at the MEPS up in Albany, New York, and it's been a good little tour. Pretty much, I'll just kind of go through and describe the process of what somebody would expect, kind of in joining the military process, and then what the process of going through the MEPS would be.
Okay.
And then if you have any questions or want me to clarify anything, just feel free to cut in whenever.
All right. Well, let me jump in right here, just for the beginning.
Sure.
What does even MEP stand for? Like, we hear it all the time, but what does it stand for?
Sure. Yeah, the MEPS just stands for the Military Entrance Processing Station.
Okay.
And just a little bit of a background, it's not super important, but the MEPCOM group is a division of the Army. So actually the Army runs it all.
Wow.
But it is a joint staff service, so every military branch goes through the MEPS,
Right.
including Coast Guard and everything. Matter of fact, they even process certain federal positions, things that are terribly important to anybody watching the video, but
Right.
they do a lot of different things. So, but they do process all the different branches, and it's kind of a dual processing. So you'll have a recruiter group there that work directly with the recruiters, and then the MEPCOM group, which is a separate entity, but we all work together in the same building, and that's basically the two groups that process everybody. So,
Okay.
but that's what it stands for, and yeah. Do you want me to clarify anything else on that?
Oh, no, you're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So some of the basically one of the things I wanted to mention before getting into the actual process is kind of I'm assuming that people that are going to be watching this video are probably going to be curious. They're probably going to be people that haven't exactly made the decision,
Right.
or that haven't been to a MEPS yet. So one of the things I wanted to touch on really quickly before getting into the process was why join the military at all. I mean, everybody's got a different reason for it, and I'm definitely not going to be the one to tell you why you should or shouldn't.
Right.
But what I would like to talk about real quick is some of the considerations that I see a lot of people come through that they haven't gotten very good information by the time they get to the MEPS. And so I just wanted to touch on that real quick, and hopefully that'll help some of these guys out.
Yeah.
Obviously, choosing a service is a big deal, and a lot of people have a pretty good idea of which service they want to join before they get there. But I would just recommend to anybody that isn't already sure, shop around and talk to all the different services before you make a decision, because each one of them has benefits, and each one of them has negatives, I guess you could say.
Right.
And it's just going to depend on the person themselves, what their goals are, and what types of things they want to get out of the military. I think Rob Monolino might have mentioned this as well. When you're going through the military, if you take nothing else away from this, remember, you want to get everything you can out of them, because they're going to get everything they can out of you. So shop around, make sure that you vet the process, and you get the best experience you can out of the military. So, along that same line, jobs. Each service has different types of jobs. I won't go into too much detail at this point, but just some considerations. The Navy has probably the most different types of jobs, from what I understand. The Army has quite a few. The Marine Corps has very few, and the Air Force has quite a few. But there is a lot of different, like I said, pros and cons to it. The Marines, obviously, a very proud service, and the Navy has a lot to offer. The Army is sort of infantry slash, you can do a lot of different things in each branch, but some offer more than others. So just something to consider when you're researching it. And then the last thing to that is make sure you're always willing to advocate for yourself. It's very easy to be sold something by a recruiter. And I'm not saying all recruiters are bad, but the reality is that their bread and butter is made off of contracts. That's just a fact of life. And, more than likely you're going to end up with somebody that's going to try to sell you something rather than try to walk you through the process and help you pick what's best for you. So make sure you're advocating for yourself and, do your research, do your due diligence. Make sure you understand what you're getting into and just also be aware that the military doesn't have any kind of recourse on you until you swear in to ship. That I'll get into that a little bit more detail later. If you're going, let's just put it this way: if you're going active duty,
right,
until you swear in on ship day, you can still walk away and they can't touch you.
Okay.
Period.
I had a question about that, so I'm glad you're going to address that. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Reserves are treated a little bit differently, but just as long understanding that's something that a lot of people don't realize, and so it's sort of a fear tool. They think they can get in a lot of trouble if they change their mind. It's absolutely untrue.
Right.
Military has zero recourse on you until you swear in the day of shipping.
That's big.
Keeping that in mind. Yeah, it is big. It's something they don't tell you, and I want to make sure people that watch this understand that. It's a serious process. The military doesn't want just anybody, but it's important that again, you get what you're going to want out of it because you're committing a minimum of 4 years. Well, in most cases,
right.
A minimum of 4 years of your life to something, so you want to make sure you're going to get what you want out of it. So, okay, so the process of the MEPs is pretty straightforward. It's a 3-part MEPs and 1-part liaison process. Basically, everybody joining will have to take some form of a test. Everybody will take an ASVAB if you're going active duty enlisted.
Right.
And most people that watch this probably are going to be familiar with what an ASVAB is. It's just a armed services vocational aptitude battery. It's just a standardization test to kind of filter out what your strengths are, and that helps you select jobs and things like that. So for all services, just keep in mind 50 or better is what you want to hit.
50 or better.
Below that, below a 50, your jobs are going to be probably a little more limited. But yeah, if you hit a 50 or better, you're good to go. And each service also, if you get online, you can look at what jobs they offer, and it'll also should tell you what ASVAB scores are going to be required.
Okay.
Anybody curious about ASVAB, there's lots of study guides and things like that are available. I would highly recommend if you're not, strong in school or tests, pick one of those up and run through a few scenarios just to kind of know where you're at.
Right.
It might be worth, taking some time to study before you go in there and actually take the test.
Yeah.
Now, give you the opportunity to get, better scores and that translates into better job opportunities.
Yeah,
so,
that's very important because I know for myself, I went there and winged it, and I ended up scoring the bare minimum enough to get in, and that's how I became it. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't retake it or nothing. I just stayed the course and said I'm gonna ride it out. But it's very important to study beforehand.
It's one of the reasons that I'm really glad that you wanted to do this video is because I took the ASVAB just so everybody understands it. The scores range from a 1 to a 99, and it's not like a high school test where you can get 100%. It's the percentile. Right. I scored a 92 on my ASVAB, and which is, obviously it's pretty good. I'm not telling this to brag. The reason I'm telling you is because I ended up picking the ABH rate, not having any idea what it really was.
Wow.
Yeah, and not that there's anything wrong with it.
Right.
But my options could have gotten a little higher profile or whatever.
Right.
But the point is that it doesn't matter how smart you are on the ASVAB. If you're not doing your background work on the jobs themselves, you could end up doing something you're not really enjoying too much. I know Rob Bonleon also scored really high, and so he can back that claim. But anyway, so ASVAB, if you're going Navy, you'll have a couple other little odds and ends testing. A lot of the different services will give you an extra test or two, and usually they're very short, and they're more specific to the services.
Okay.
Air Force and Army have one called the TAPIS, and it's a personality test, things like that. So
I didn't know that.
that's something to keep in mind. Yeah, it's something I'd never heard of either until I got to the MEPs. And then there's some other opportunities like if you're a linguist or if you think you might be good at foreign language skills, you can take what they call an ELAB. It's just a language test, and that's kind of cool. It's just a fake language that they made up, and just to see how well or how fast you would say. Seriously, it's like Klingon or something. I have no idea, but it's just to see how good you are at remembering different language things. So that's kind of neat. But so there's a few different tests. But in any case, once you get your score and it's a passing score, they'll schedule you to come in. The testing also, I should mention, sometimes you'll do it at night and then come in the next day. Sometimes you'll do it and come in down the road. And then occasionally people will come in the day of, do the test, and then process. So there's a lot of different ways it can work. The MEPS processing is pretty dynamic. There's a lot of different ways it can work.
Right.
So just, keeping that in mind. And then this is probably something that you aren't familiar with, because I don't think they did this back when we joined, but once somebody comes in for the date of actual processing, they'll do what they call biometrics, which is fingerprint and photo, and that's it's sort of a new system that a lot of different agencies are rolling out. For the MEPs, it's really kind of, I don't want to say it's pointless, but it seems kind of overkill. It's really just a tracking tool to monitor the process flow, and also to make sure that that the person swearing in is the person that signed in that morning and took the test and everything. So
that's new.
I don't know. Yeah, it's newer. Biometrics is sort of some people kind of think it's a dirty word, and like it's a personal data tool that people mine your, but it's not. So if anybody out there hears that word, it's not. There's nothing sinister going on there.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, good stuff. So anyway, and then everybody's required to take a physical.
My favorite part.
Oh yeah, that's everybody's favorite part for sure. That's going to be the bulk of your processing day, and that includes about an hour or so of paperwork and interviewing, a urinalysis, vision test, hearing test, blood pressure, ortho-neuro. And for anybody that's watching this and has been in the military, that's where you do the famous duck walk and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
And then,
nice little story.
And then at the end of it, yeah, it's good stuff. At the end of it, you'll do an interview with the doctor, and that's also where he'll check out all your nether regions. So
yeah.
Not particularly comfortable, but they got to make sure that you're physically, qualified. So the worst thing, honestly, the worst thing that can happen to somebody is for them to skate through the medical section without disclosing their condition.
Right.
It's not. We were in the Navy. It's not that big of a deal in the Navy. It is, but not so much as it would be like in the Army. If you were out in the field and you had something happen in a medical situation and you have no way to get help, so that's why they screen you so
So thorough.
Thoroughly, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the right word there. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of here again, not to bash on recruiters, but they are in it for the contract. So sometimes they'll tell people not to mention things, and anybody that's going to go through, so I'm here to tell you, please make sure you disclose everything. It's very important. The medical technicians and the doctors are not stupid. They've been doing this. We have a guy at my MEPs who's been there for 25 years.
Wow.
He knows what is what. He's seen it all. So they know what to look for. They know exactly what people are likely to not disclose. They know how to spot that stuff. So any condition that people have normally will be either qualifiable or what we call waiverable. And this is one thing I just wanted to mention real quick that isn't terribly important, but if you get disqualified at a MEPS, there's still a 90 to 95% chance you can join.
Wow.
If we're disqualified, yeah. And the reason is that a disqualification only means that you're not initially physically capable of serving in that particular branch, they'll issue you a service level waiver, and then with that waiver, you will become, for all intents and purposes, qualified, and you can join that service. So a lot of people get kind of down when they come down for medical with a disqualification sheet,
right.
and we walk them through. Not everybody's going to be able to join, but I would say a majority will be okay once they get that waiver. So something to keep in mind. If you have some kind of disqualifying condition and somebody tells you not to mention it, just mention it and let the process work, because it almost always works in your favor. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So if somebody has a problem, even though they were told by somebody not to disclose it, still let the doctors know when you talk to them, I do have this issue, and they'll go through a process that's already set up at MEPS to get them through and potentially still be able to enlist regardless.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. They may have to come back a time or two. They may have to go out and see a specialist to get that qualification.
Right.
But the bottom line is that process is much easier than if something happens down the road and it's found out that it wasn't disclosed, and then it becomes a fraudulent enlistment issue or something worse.
You might end up on a court martial or something.
I've seen it happen.
Yeah.
It's not something you want to deal with. People get, they discover an issue in boot camp, and that person gets stuck in a TPU unit at boot camp.
You're there forever.
You're sitting in boot camp getting yelled at for months.
Yeah, extra months. Yeah.
And that's only while they're waiting to discharge you, with a bad discharge for lying in the first place.
Right.
And not only that, but the recruiter, they're going to do an investigation on who recruited you. And,
wow.
A lot of things come into play. So not to beat the dead horse too bad in here, but just honesty is the best policy. And there's not a lot of things that'll get you completely hung out to dry. If it is something that's unwaverable, then there's most people that have an issue like you're missing a leg, you're probably not going to walk into a military repair station.
Right.
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 So anyway, okay. So once medical's done, then the next step of the process is you'll speak with your service liaison, and this is where these guys are sort of an extension of the recruiting group.
Okay.
Those are the guys that'll sit down with you and do a job interview and things like that, see what kind of job you want to do. That's completely a separate process from the MEPS process, but it's all done in the same building, same area.
Right.
But a lot of people don't realize that those two are separate, so that's fine. Just kind of give them a heads up.
Okay.
Each service does it a little bit differently. The Navy, I can tell you, you'll pick a job the day you're there to dep in or process.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Marines, they don't give you a job until you actually graduate basic training. Air Force, I think you get a job during your DEP. And when I say DEP, that's just the delayed entry program. That's just the program where basically you are in that program from the time you come to the MEPS process until the time you ship. And it can range anywhere from a couple weeks to a year or more. Actually, I think a year is the maximum time allowed in the DEP. But let's see. So each service does that a little bit differently.
Okay.
And once you deal with the service and they get your contract all built back there, then you come up and see the MEP site again, and we'll do a full background investigation. It's FBI level. So once again, anything in your history, any involvement with law or any law enforcement must be disclosed. And once again, that's unless you murdered somebody and have a body in your backyard, there's almost nothing that can't be waived at some level.
Right.
But I can tell you from personal experience, make sure you tell them, because they will find out. When I joined, I had a law issue that was sealed, and they still knew about it. So,
wow.
Be honest, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's an FBI level, so.
Yeah, that's real deep, because I remember for me personally as well. I gave them like my brothers and sisters' names and everything, but I didn't know a lot of their addresses. So when the paperwork came back, they had like all their addresses and phone numbers. I said, I don't even have this information. How'd y'all get it? It was crazy.
Yeah, it's the military. They can find out this stuff. It's especially important for people that everybody in the military will get some sort of a security clearance, whether it's
Right.
just in general or a secret or a top secret. If you're going for a job that requires a secret or a top secret, it's absolutely paramount that you get this stuff dealt with here, because if they find out later, as you and I both know, we knew people in the military that had top secret clearances, and once you lose it, if you ever lose it, not only do you lose the clearance, but you lose your job as well, and they send you down to whatever part of the ship needs help. You could be scraping barnacles for all you know. You might be one day out there working on the nuclear side or doing some high-level cryptography, and the next thing you know, you lose your clearance. You're down there washing dishes for the next 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
So something to keep in mind. And then during that time, that process doesn't usually take very long as far as the background investigation. It's just a quick interview, and then they'll do some fingerprints that they'll run. And that's the bulk of it. Once you're done with that, then the service will finalize your contracts and send you up to oath of enlistment.
Then that's it, huh?
That's pretty much it. For the majority of people, like I said before, if you're full active duty, you'll do what they call a DEP, or a delayed entry program.
Right.
We just call it a DEP-in. You're swearing into the DEP.
Oh.
Like I said before, that doesn't mean you're in the military. So at that point, if you choose to change your mind, you can still walk away. There's nothing anybody can do about it. It might hurt your chances of ever joining again if you choose to, but you're not going to be thrown in jail or anything.
Wow. Dang, I wish I would have knew that.
Right. I'm not telling people that to get them to run, but I just want them to know, there's a lot of things that, like you said, you wish you would have known. There's a lot of things I wish I would have known before I came in, and I think it's only fair that people know what their rights are before, it's not, the military of old is no longer.
Yeah.
I think anybody that watches even a little bit of news knows that. It's a different ballgame now, but it's important that people are aware and educated before they come in, because you still get yourself in a lot of trouble if you're not. So, if you're a reservist, it's a little bit different. Obviously, reservists don't go active duty unless they're activated, and that's usually only something that happens. That's pretty rare. We'll just put it that way, unless you want to be.
Right.
But they do what they call an accession. An accession is where you do swear into. I guess the best way to put it is that's when you can be charged under the UCMJ. It's where you can be charged under military law.
Wow.
For the active duty guys, the day you come back to ship, you'll swear in a second time, and that's when you do your accession.
Right.
That's why when you come back on ship day, when you swear on that day, then you become full military and you can be charged. Damn. So that's an important distinction for people to know.
Yeah. That's very important.
Let's see. Yeah, little things. So, and then after swearing, you're basically head on home. So it's time to come back and ship. And then, like I said before, the day you come back to ship, you'll do actually, I should mention too, reservists will come back and ship as well, but they just don't swear in again.
Right.
They'll just come back, and everybody that ships, unless it's been less than 72 hours, which I've never actually seen somebody turn around that fast from the day they depped into the day they ship.
Right.
But they'll come back and they'll do a minor medical, what they call an inspect. They'll just do a height and weight, make sure everything's good to go. They'll check the females to see if they are, test positive for pregnancy, because you can't ship them pregnant female to boot camp. That's going to be bad news for everybody. But assuming everything's good with that, then you just do some finalizations, swear in, and jump on a plane. And then the real fun begins.
Yeah. Texas.
Yeah.
Or Great Lakes, or
Great Lakes,
or anywhere with North Carolina. I think somewhere is the Army boot camp.
Yeah. So yeah, with the Navy, we only have the one, Great Lakes.
Right.
The Marine Corps has two. Most people in the Marine Corps, especially on the East Coast, will ship to Parris Island, which I'm going to sound like an idiot, but I'm pretty sure it's in North Carolina.
Parris Island.
There are a few Marines that can go to San Diego. They do have a recruit training down in San Diego too.
Nice.
Yeah, the Air Force will go to Lackland, Texas.
Right, Texas.
And that's their only one. And then the Army, forget it. They have like 8 different places they go.
Yeah.
They're the biggest service by far. They have a lot of different places. Fort Leonard Wood, Fort Jackson.
Yeah, Jackson.
I can't even name them all. Fort Lee, Fort So. Those guys, and that's kind of dependent on their job, because in their case, they'll do their basic training and then they'll do their job training in the same place in a lot of cases. So that's what that's all about. And then Coast Guard, if anybody in the Coast Guard's watching, that's the smallest service. And they don't process a whole ton of people, but they do theirs down in, I want to say, New Jersey somewhere.
Oh yeah, you're right. It's in Jersey. Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty sure it's right down there.
Yeah, it's Jersey.
So.
And what about okay, so a person will come to MEPS. They'll spend a night at the location or at a hotel.
Usually what will happen is if they're just coming in to do the process, the physical and the swearing in for the depth.
Right.
If they live near the MEPS, then it's between them and the recruiter. They can stay home that night and just come in the next day. It just kind of depends. Some of the services do it a little different. I think the Marines are required that their guys stay in the hotel. Air Force kind of leaves it up to them. I know when I did it for the Navy, I drove myself that morning. I didn't stay in the hotel that night.
Okay.
But I also lived like less than 5 miles from the processing center. So you live further away, then they'll have you come and they'll put you in the hotel for the night.
Yeah.
And then a shuttle will bring you up to the MEPS the next day to process.
Yeah. So let me say this that yeah. So for me personally, as far as MEPS go, when you first get there and everything, and I had to spend a night at the hotel. So life was good. Like, we had PlayStations, we had Xboxes, we had food. It was pretty ladies. Yeah. I mean, life was good. And then things switched once you left.
The MEPS has a sort of a standing, I don't know what you'd call it, a rule, I guess. They call it the red carpet treatment.
Yeah.
It's all about customer service and taking care of the applicants. And I'll tell you, it's kind of a double-edged sword. So, everybody at the MEPS understands that the people that are coming there to process and join the military the vast majority of them have never been in the military and have no idea what customs courtesies and things like that are.
Right.
So that's what the idea is behind the red carpet. You're not supposed to yell at these guys. You're not supposed to be too hard on them. And on one hand, all right. On the other hand, there is an expectation of professionalism from people coming to the MEPS because you are joining the military, and if you show up acting like a floating turd, then you're going to be corrected. That's just the way it is.
Right.
If you're joining the military, you might as well get used to a little bit of
discipline.
Serious, yeah, exactly. I've only had to really get on people a couple times at the MEPS. Nothing like I did on the ship. It's totally different. So, for the most part, I'd say the vast majority of people that come through there, mean well, and they're there for a reason. They know why they're there, and they're not there to screw off, and the process goes really smoothly for them.
Right.
The ones that do cause problems and screw off, it's nothing for us to kick them out, and they can either not join or can explain to their recruiter why they wasted hundreds of dollars in hotel fees and everything else only to come to MEPS and get in trouble and get thrown out. So there's, just for anybody that's curious about the process, nobody's going to yell at you. Nobody's going to mistreat you, but please be there with the expectation of being on, your best behavior and come ready to process. Don't, show up half asleep and, act like you don't want to be there. Don't waste our time. We won't waste yours.
Yeah, be an adult. Pull your pants up. Dress appropriately. Try not to use foul language. Be respectful to other people.
Stuff.
Yeah.
The way that I've always thought of it is a lot of people are recruited to be there, and a lot of times recruiters will make it sound like that people are going to be just handled with golden gloves. Not necessarily. You need to be there expecting to perform like you're in a job interview.
Right.
Very long
That's
job
it.
interview.
Yeah.
But
It's exactly
again,
what it is.
The MEP's goal is to get you through it as quickly and smoothly as possible, and that's normally incumbent on the person themselves. Come up there, and, have your medical data all screwed up because you didn't feel like disclosing things when they find out. That's going to extend your time.
Right.
A lot of different things like that. So, but yeah, come in there ready to process, have done all your due diligence, and it'll be a smooth process.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it, Mr. Petty Officer Gibby. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the viewers appreciate the great information, stuff that I just found out about too. So.
Hey, I still learn something new every day there. So.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. So I want to just thank you, you and your beautiful family. Continue to do what you're doing. Have fun out there, man.
Absolutely. Thank you. Well, it was good talking to you.
Yeah, you too, buddy. Go Niners, man.
Yeah, buddy.
Hey, man. That's another conversation for a different day. Yeah. Right. Exactly. But until next time, I'm going to see you guys later. And I'm going to continue to talking to Gibby on the phone. So peace out.